All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about that critical moment, the one every business owner dreads. The moment where a mature, successful company, a company that's already made it, suddenly hits a brick wall. This isn't about the early days of struggle. No, this is the final battle for a business that's already at the top, but now finds itself teetering on the edge of collapse. You know the scene. It's almost a cliche, but it feels so real. Your A-team, the people you spent years finding and training, they're walking out the door. That whole professional management team that ran things so smoothly, they're looking for an exit because they can't see a future. And the cash, the actual lifeblood of your company, it's just gone. Every single day feels like a desperate fight just to stay alive. So you're looking at the numbers tanking, you're seeing the empty desks, and you can't help but ask yourself that one single gut-wrenching question. Is this it? Is it all over? Well, believe it or not, the answer to that question really just depends on what you decide to do right now. See, this stage, it isn't the end. It's what we call the life support stage. But I want you to completely reframe how you think about that. This is not a waiting room for your business to die. Think of it as a war room for its survival. Because there are specific, proven strategies, a real playbook, for pulling your company back from the absolute brink. So first play on the board, sell to survive. Yeah, it sounds drastic, and you know what? It is. This is about making surgical cuts. It's about looking at your business and cutting off the parts that are literally weighing you down so you can save the whole thing. It is a brutal call to make, but trust me, doing nothing is way, way more dangerous. And look, even the biggest giants can fall, but they can also fight their way back. Just look at General Motors. This absolute titan of industry was on the ropes, literally facing bankruptcy during the 2008 financial meltdown. But they didn't just roll over and die. They got incredibly strategic. Their plan was as ruthless as it was brilliant. They took a hard look and identified the brands that were just a drain: Hummer, Saturn, Saab, and they cut them loose. This wasn't about feelings or history. It was purely about survival. And that one move allowed them to pour every last resource they had back into their core profitable brands. And it stabilized the entire ship. So here's the lesson for you. You have to take a hard, brutally honest look at your own company. Which divisions, which products, which services are bleeding you dry? You have to be ruthless. Selling them off isn't admitting you failed. It's freeing up the cash and the focus you desperately need to win the war. All right, let's move on to the second play in the book, because this builds on the first one. It's called Refocus Your Core. A lot of the time, a business ends up on life support simply because it's drifted too far from shore. It's completely forgotten what made it successful in the first place. This play is all about finding your way back to that original power. We're talking about your core competencies. What is your company's unique magic? Seriously, it's not just about what you do, it's about what you do better than literally anyone else. In a crisis like this, that is your North Star. Everything, and I mean everything you do from here on out, has to point right back to that. Just look at Fiat and Chrysler. Both of them were struggling. Both were losing ground fast. So by merging, they didn't just get bigger, they got a whole lot smarter. They took Fiat's genius for small, efficient cars and combined it with Chrysler's absolute strength in trucks and SUVs. They refocused on their combined strengths and created something so much stronger than the sum of its parts. So how do you actually do this? Well, it's a pretty clear path. First, you have to go back to the beginning. What was your original secret sauce? Second, you strip away everything else. All your money, all your team's energy goes straight to that core mission. Doing this helps you rebuild trust with your customers, and, most importantly, it stabilizes your day-to-day operations. Now for our third and final play in the survival guide, Partner for Power. Sometimes the key to survival, the resources you need, they aren't inside your own company. Smart, strategic partnerships can give you access to new markets, new tech, and new capabilities without the crushing cost of trying to build it all yourself. Think about Microsoft and Nokia a while back. The iPhone and Android had completely taken over the mobile world. On their own, neither company stood a chance. But together, Microsoft brought the massive software ecosystem, and Nokia brought their world-class hardware design. That partnership gave them a real fighting chance in a market that was absolutely crushing them as individuals. And that right there is the power of this strategy. You get to leverage somebody else's strengths to cover up your weaknesses. You instantly expand your reach and your resources. It lets you compete on a totally different level without burning out the few people you have left on your team. So the takeaway here is pretty simple. start looking outside your own walls. Who else in your industry, or maybe even in a totally different industry, has strengths that perfectly complement your own? Find partners whose goals line up with yours. This isn't about desperation. It's about being smart, efficient, and strategic. So, we've walked through the playbook. Sell, refocus, partner. But here's the thing. None of it means anything if you don't make a decision. You are standing at a crossroads right now, and the path you choose in this moment will determine everything that comes next. And the choice could not be more stark. On one side, you have action. You sell what isn't working, you refocus on what does, and you partner for new power. On the other side, you have inaction, and that path only leads to one place: stagnation, deeper decline, and eventually, total failure. There is absolutely no middle ground here. So I have to ask you, and I mean you directly, forget the fear for a second. Forget how tired you are. The question is not, can you survive this? The real question is, are you ready to make the hard calls and truly, finally fight back? Because if you are ready, there is a path forward. It's about taking these strategies and turning them into a real-world plan to get your company off of life support and back into the zone of maximization. If you're ready to start that fight, visit www.archonusa.com.